Hey guys, I thought it'd be fun to take you along through the whole process of my sourdough bread. So I just fed my starter. It's been in the fridge for the last 2 days. I put half a cup of bread flour in it because I didn't want to use my all-purpose flour because I only have a little left, and it works. I've tried all-purpose, bread flour, freshly milled hard white wheat, freshly milled soft white wheat. It all works. So I put half a cup in there and a little bit of water. I left it more thick than usual. I just go back and forth. Sometimes I make it a little runnier than usual, sometimes a little thicker. I feel like it keeps the starter really happy and active. Today I went for a little thicker finish. So let me show you what that looks like. If you're new here, welcome. My name's Alana. I've been baking bread for like 13 years. I've been milling my grain for like 12. I invite you to like this video and of course subscribe to my channel. So I literally just pulled this out of the fridge and put about half a cup of flour and just enough water to get it to this consistency. I stirred it vigorously and now it will just sit here on the counter, covered of course, for the next 5 hours or so. This is for 2 loaves. I've been doing 180 grams of starter. I do use a kitchen scale and I highly recommend it. I know it sounds annoying, but it's actually way better than the old way. So give it a shot. You're not gonna regret it. 770 grams of water, filtered water, 320 grams of all-purpose, 720 grams of soft white wheat, and I do some hard white wheat in there as well. So I don't do it perfectly half and half, but I do a good quantity of both in that 720 grams. And then it should be 24 grams of salt, but I use real salt, which is a little less salty. So 30 grams seems to be a better flavor for us, and that makes 2 loaves of bread. This is what's left of our last 2 loaves. By the end of the day, I know this will be gone, and that may be gone. Even if it's not, it's time to make 2 fresh loaves because I will probably use these in cooking or snacks. Just like I predicted, the bread is gone. I made tuna melts for lunch and I toasted the rest for some garlic toast for tonight's dinner. I made a beef stew with carrots and potatoes and red wine and tomato sauce, and that'll be for dipping. So it's time to get our dough ready for the 2 loaves, which we will be baking in the morning. So let's see how the starter looks. It's 6 p.m. Step 1, getting my recipe out. Step 2, getting my kitchen scale and a bowl out. I'm turning on my kitchen scale to grams with the bowl on it already. So right now it's reading 0, and I'm gonna add 180 grams of starter to that bowl. The starter is very active. You can just tell by the airy bubbles in it. Next, we're doing 770 grams of filtered water. I always zero out my scale so I don't have to do all the math. So I'm gonna put it at 0 again. And now I just have to pour the water in until 770 grams. Now it's time to mill the grain. So I usually put about 2 cups of soft white wheat grain and 2 cups of hard white wheat grain into my grain mill, and I just let it mill into this bowl, and then I will pour in 720 grams. If I have any flour left over, I just feed it to the chickens the next day. That little remainder flour will be for the chicken's snack tomorrow. And now we'll do 320 grams of all-purpose flour and then 30 grams of salt. And that's all you need the scale for. So now I'm done with the scale. I'm gonna put it away and I'm going to stir all of these ingredients with a wooden spoon and cover it with a very damp dishcloth and leave it there for like an hour. So once this is mostly all incorporated, it doesn't even have to be really, really thoroughly incorporated. You can just leave it. As it sits here for an hour and then I do the stretch and folds, it's gonna all incorporate and become one nice dough ball. So this is how it looks. This is how I'm gonna leave it. And I'm gonna let it stay here for an hour. Clean kitchen towel, and it'll keep the dough from getting dry. And of course, the weight around the edges will keep the air out. And in the hotter months when there's gnats or flies, nothing will get in there. So it's been an hour and I'm going to do my first stretch and fold. I used to think this had to be done a certain way and there was so much to it, but there isn't. So I'm gonna show you how just blah I do it. I have even forgotten to do this step on different occasions, and I've done it in the morning before dividing the dough and shaping the loaves. And I've omitted this step altogether many times as well. It's not gonna ruin your bread. It just provides more airy, fluffy little pockets throughout the bread, which look beautiful when you slice it, but they are not necessary to taste good and to eat. So I'm gonna do my first stretch and fold. This dough looks very different than a loaf that is completely all-purpose flour. This has freshly milled grain in it. It's a lot more grainy and nutty. So if it looks weird to you, it's because it's real freshly milled flour versus the store-bought refined, very, very fine powdery stuff, missing all the bran and the germ and everything that is all the packed nutrients in wheat. So I'm gonna do my first stretch and fold, and I'm gonna repeat it every 20 minutes 4 times. One, 2, 3. I wish someone could film this for me so I could show you. And just pick it up like that and like fold it in half. And I'll go as many times as I can before it becomes too much of a ball to keep on folding it. So it doesn't stretch as much as the elasticy kind of all-purpose, but once it's been like 5 or 6 times, it's usually reached its max, and I'll stop there. And that is that. Now I'll cover it and I'll do this again in 20 minutes. So it's 8:55. I'm covering my dough for the night. Do its bulk rise for like 12 to 13 hours. I'll show you guys what it looks like in the morning. It is 9:30. I have the oven preheating to 450 degrees. Let's look at this dough. It rose more than usual. I am pretty impressed. You see how airy it is? So what we're gonna do is flour the counter surface, dump the dough out, divide it in half, and then roll it into 2 loaves. And with a parchment lined pan, I'm gonna put each loaf in a different pie pan. There are other methods of baking this. The Dutch oven is awesome. That's really popular. I've done that. Sometimes I do that. Today I wanna bake both at the same time, so I'm doing 2 separate pie pans with another pan with water in it in the oven so that the steam makes the outside of the bread crusty. I'm going to put both of those in the fridge while the oven is preheating to 450, and I'm gonna put a little glass dish with water in it at the bottom of the oven to create steam, so that once I put these loaves into the oven, the outside will become a little more crusty because of the steam in the air of the oven. I just do this with some water in it. And I feel like putting the loaves in the fridge just reinforces the shape of the dough ball, the loaf, a little better. And I don't leave it in there that long, just as long as it takes for the oven to preheat. So let's do it. I always set the timer because burning bread is so disappointing, especially when you have worked for hours to get this made. You do not want to burn them, so set the timer. I know people get all fancy cutting the tops with a razor and time, making beautiful designs. We see them in 30 minutes. I might try that at some point, but I haven't because I'm too speedy for that right now. All right, timer's going off. The bread's ready. Beautiful, in my opinion. Or at least we think and hope it is. They look ready to me. I'm popping in both of the bread loaves at the same time, and they should need about 30 minutes. I hope that this video inspires you to see how simple sourdough bread making can be. Of course, you need some starter. Easiest way is get some from a friend, but it is not hard to make it yourself either. I will post a link to the video that taught me how to make my own starter, and I've used it every time that I've had to restart my starter. I quit several times throughout the years because I didn't realize I could put the starter in the fridge. So yesterday, after I showed you guys how I mixed my dough, the starter went straight back into the fridge, and it'll be in there for the next 2 days. I don't have to feed it today. I don't have to think about it today. Tomorrow, when I'm probably gonna feed it again in order to make dough again tomorrow night, I will take it out around noon to let it get to room temperature. Around 2, I will feed it, and then at night, I'll do the dough and this whole process all over again. So I don't have to think of it every day. I don't have to feed it every day. If I end up not making bread tomorrow, it's fine in there for a couple of weeks. That saved me, and that is what made me continue with sourdough, knowing that I could just put it in the fridge and it would be okay. But I highly recommend you educate yourself on starter and keeping it alive. I won't include all of that in this video. I just wanted to show you how easy it could be, a good recipe, and how beautiful your loaves can come out with, yes, thinking ahead. You would definitely have to think ahead because it's a 2-day process. Let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed this video, and if you're gonna really try more like a day and a half. God bless you guys. Only the first hour is involved, and then you're free. But it's worth it if you think ahead, and it's so much healthier for you, and it's just really neat to see the finished product that you have. It's like a labor of love, my friend calls it, and she's right. You made the wild yeast, you